I want you to leave this house." "What?" "Anyway, I've already found someone else for him." My mother-in-law hadn't changed at all. If anything, she had come up with a crazy plan. With a proud look, she said, "You're an awful wife, get a divorce." At that moment, something inside me snapped. "You'll regret saying that." "What? Regret? Why?" "Haha, because this house." My name is Kelly, I'm 34 years old, and after college, I started working as an engineer in a big company. I worked really hard and did my best. It was while working there that I met Tommy, who would later become my husband. I met him when I was 28, and he was a salesman who visited my company often. He was always friendly, greeting me with a smile, even though we didn't work together directly. At a company party, I got to know him better. The person I worked with liked him a lot and invited him to join us. That was when we first had a conversation. We found out we had a lot in common, so we exchanged numbers and started dating. 2 years later, we got married. We've been very much in love and very close since then. Tommy has always supported me, especially when I decided to start my own business. I was thinking about quitting my job to work as a freelance engineer. Tommy asked me, "You want to do this, right? If you feel that way, you should go for it." I'm a cautious person, so I was nervous about whether I could make enough money and if I'd be able to take time off. I was thinking of all the problems that might come up, and I was scared to try something new. But Tommy told me, "Don't worry, I'll support you, even if things are uncertain, just take the chance." So, I quit my job and started freelancing. My business grew much faster than I expected. My experience in a big company made me trustworthy, and I started getting big projects. Now, I earn more than I ever did before. Tommy and I were thrilled to see our savings grow. I was happy with the extra money, but even happier that Tommy had encouraged me to take the leap. With him by my side, I felt like I could face any challenge. We spent time traveling and driving together when he had time off, and even though we saved money, we didn't have to worry about spending on things we wanted. We were enjoying life as a couple. One day, I wasn't feeling well while working at home. After a few days, I went to the hospital for a checkup, and to my surprise, I found out I was pregnant. I couldn't wait for Tommy to come home that evening so I could tell him. When he came home, I told him right away, "Tommy, I went to the hospital today." "Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't go with you. How did it go?" He was hanging up his suit jacket as he spoke. I laughed and said, "They told me I'm pregnant." Tommy stopped what he was doing and looked at me. "What, really?" "Yes," I said, smiling. "Wow, we did it." "Thank you, Kelly," he said, excited. I was so happy to see how thrilled he was. We couldn't wait to welcome our child into the world together. "We'll do our best to raise our child," Tommy said. "Yes, we will take good care of our baby," I replied. We started eating dinner, and Tommy kept talking about the baby, wondering if it would be a boy or a girl and what we'd need for the baby. "If it's a boy, I want to play catch with him. If it's a girl, we'll play house," he said. Then, I told Tommy something I had been thinking for a while. "How about we build a house soon?" "What? We've saved up a lot of money, and with a baby on the way, our current house is too small. It might be a good time to buy a bigger one. The kids will have plenty of room to run around." "Yes, and we'll have a room for the baby, and I'll have a new room for my work," Tommy said. "I love it. It sounds perfect," I replied. "We'll have a big, beautiful house for our baby," Tommy said. We decided to build a new house. On weekends, we went to open houses and worked on the design together. We wanted to have it ready by the time the baby arrived. About a month after we found out I was pregnant, we went to visit my in-laws to tell them the news, but I was feeling a bit down because I didn't really get along with my mother-in-law. Their house was about 30 minutes away, but I didn't visit them often. When Tommy and I first got married, I visited for Thanksgiving and New Year's, but each time, my mother-in-law would criticize me. She'd say women were too focused on their careers and would always ask when I was going to have children. She also complained about my job. "All you do is sit on your computer all day, don't you? I don't like you because you're kind of a nerd. You're not good at talking to people like Tommy. He's a great communicator as a salesman, but his wife is like this." It's not that I'm bad at talking to people, I just love working with computers, and that's why I have this job. My mother-in-law often says hurtful things to me, but only when it's just the two of us. When my husband or father-in-law is around, she acts nice. Every time, I felt upset and started to dislike her more. Over time, I visited her less and tried to avoid her. But this time, We were going to tell her about the baby, so I felt like I had to go. She had been asking when I was going to have kids, and surely she'd be happy to hear the news. I was nervous and unsure, but my husband drove me to my in-laws' house. When we arrived, my mother-in-law, who I hadn't seen in a while, greeted me with her usual blank face, but when my husband spoke to her and said, "Mom, it's been a while," she immediately smiled and started talking cheerfully. She said to me, "It's been a while, I hope you've been well, Kelly." "Oh yes, I've been fine," I answered. "Really? I'm so glad to hear that. Come on in." She invited us inside. Once we were in the living room, my father-in-law greeted us warmly, saying, "Oh, you've come a long way." I was about to sit on the sofa with my husband and talk to my father-in-law, but my mother-in-law asked me to help serve tea. I went into the kitchen, even though I didn't feel good about it. Sure enough, when we were alone, my mother-in-law gave me a cold look and said, "I haven't seen that annoying face in a long time." My mother-in-law used to treat me badly, saying things like, "I wonder if you're still doing that lowly job of yours. I hear you're going to keep working after the baby's born. I hope you're not planning to do something ridiculous like that." She would say hurtful things like that to me, but when we were in the living room with my husband and father-in-law, she would suddenly smile and act like the perfect mother-in-law. When my husband told her I was pregnant, my mother-in-law said something she didn't really mean. "I'm so happy. Thank you, Kelly. I can't wait to see my grandchild. You're such a wonderful daughter-in-law." Her fake attitude confused me, but I had to smile and pretend everything was fine. We had already shared the pregnancy news, so I just wanted to leave. I did my best to respond politely. But something unexpected happened during our conversation. It all started with a casual comment from my father-in-law. "Won't your room be a bit small when the baby comes?" My husband excitedly mentioned building a new house. My mother-in-law jumped in with a surprising suggestion. "What, you're building a house?" she said, clearly excited. I had a bad feeling. Then she said something even more shocking. "Why not make it a two-family house?" My husband and I were both shocked. What do you mean, Mom?" he asked. My mother-in-law continued talking, ignoring our reactions. "Since this house is old, we were thinking about renovating or selling it anyway. If we make it a two-family house, we can help Kelly during her pregnancy, and we can live with our grandkids. Don't you agree, dear?" My father-in-law seemed confused by her idea. "Well, it would be nice to live with the grandkids," he said. Then my mother-in-law, as if she had planned it all along, said, "Exactly. It's not easy when you have a baby. Kelly, you plan to keep working after the baby's born, right? It would be helpful if I lived with you to help with housework and child care." Her pressure made me uncomfortable, but my husband said, "We'll think about it. Now that we've shared the pregnancy news, it's time for us to head home." I was surprised that my mother-in-law was so excited, but I was relieved to know she was happy about the baby. Still, I wasn't sure about living with her, especially since she had treated me so poorly in the past. Since then, my mother-in-law seemed to have changed. She stopped criticizing me and started sending me kind emails, checking on my health. She even sent me sweet texts without saying anything rude. I wondered if she had really changed her attitude. I decided to visit my in-laws for Thanksgiving for the first time in a long time. They were so kind to me, and even when we were alone, my mother-in-law didn't criticize me. After that, she continued to send me kind texts. I started to feel like maybe my mother-in-law had really changed, so when my husband asked about living together with them, I began to think it might be a good idea. The house needed to be ready quickly after the baby was born, so we had to decide what to do with it. I started working with my mother-in-law, who was being so kind to me. I began to think that living in the same house might be okay. I appreciated her help with housework and child care. I could ask her to take care of the baby when I needed to focus on work. I told my husband, "Let's go ahead and build a two-family house." He was surprised. "Are you sure? You don't really get along with my mom, do you?" I was surprised by his question. "What? I don't know. I just think you and Mom haven't always gotten along." I could tell my husband was paying close attention to me. There was still part of me that didn't like her, but recently, she had been really nice to me. I thought maybe we could get along now. "Thank you for saying that. I'm glad you care about my parents. You're right, my mom can be a bit difficult, but I'm sure she'll take good care of the kids." So, we went back to the construction company we had hired and told them we wanted to change the plans to a two-family house. Since we already had the basic floor plans, we just decided to expand the rooms. The new house arrangements went smoothly. and we even visited the construction site with my in-laws. I was excited, thinking how lively our new life would be with the baby and the new house. Months passed, and I was nearing the last trimester of my pregnancy when construction began. I was happy to see my in-laws supporting me, and everything seemed to be coming together. A few months later, I successfully gave birth to a healthy baby girl. My husband and in-laws were thrilled with the birth of our daughter, and all we had to do now was wait for the house to be finished. Finally, the new house was completed. My husband and I took our daughter to the new house. It seemed like my in-laws had arrived just at the same time, and we entered the house excitedly. The house was beautiful and spacious, and just walking through it made me feel so happy. Both my husband and father-in-law were delighted with their own rooms. Then, my mother-in-law called me. "Come here for a minute, Kelly." I thought my mother-in-law was at her own house, but for some reason, she was at ours. I went to the kitchen, where she was waiting. "What's going on, Gemma?" She looked at me coldly and then said something that left me stunned. "I want you out of this house." I couldn't understand what she meant. I froze, confused, and she continued, still looking at me with the same disdain she had always had. "I never wanted to be nice to you, but I pretended to be because Tommy was building me a house. These last 6 months have been tough, but all my efforts have paid off." "What do you mean?" I finally managed to speak, but my mother-in-law just sniffed and went on. "I never liked you. You never quit your job, and when you finally had a child, it was a girl." "Yeah, but you said you'd help me with housework and raising the child." "That was a lie. It was all a lie to get Tommy to do what I wanted, but now that the house is built, you're not needed anymore. Now, get a divorce from Tommy." Then my mother-in-law shocked me even more by saying, "I already have a new wife for him." "What?" "She's the daughter of a friend of mine. She wants to be a housewife, and I'm thinking of having her move in and making her Tommy's wife in this house." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mother-in-law had not changed at all. In fact, she had come up with an outrageous plan. With a smug look on her face, she told me, "You incompetent wife, get a divorce and leave right now." Something inside me snapped. I had reached my limit with this woman. "You will regret saying that," I replied. She laughed and said, "Regret? Why?" "Haha, because this house." I was about to explain, but then my husband stepped in. "Hey, Mom, I heard what you just said. What do you mean, kicking Kelly out or getting a new wife? Stop saying things like that and causing trouble," he said. My mother-in-law was momentarily upset that he overheard but quickly continued. "I'm saying this for your own good. I don't need this weak woman living in your house. Get a new wife who's young and can give you a son." My husband went pale and confronted her. "What, don't you know? Kelly helped build this house, remember? The house is in her name." "Huh?" My mother-in-law froze, looking confused. "That's a lie, isn't it?" she said. My husband, disgusted, continued, "I've told you before, Kelly's income went up when she started freelancing. I think I remember you saying that." "What? She makes enough to buy a house?" My mother-in-law was stunned. "Yes, Kelly is an excellent engineer. She works with big companies as a freelancer. She gets paid directly." "I'm already disappointed in you. I'm divorcing you," my husband said, his voice steady. "What?" my mother-in-law gasped. "I can't be with someone who doesn't care for the person who's important to my son. When I retire, the person I'm going to spend all my time with will be you, and if that's how it's going to be, I'll be miserable in my old age. You're the one leaving. I'm divorcing you now." "No way." My mother-in-law couldn't even stand up, cowering and crying, but there was no sympathy for her. My husband firmly guided her to my father-in-law's car, and my father-in-law apologized to me before taking her back to their house. He had already planned for their house to be sold, with the move-out date pushed up a week in case things went wrong. In the meantime, he served her with divorce papers, and she was forced to move into a cheap, run-down apartment. Initially, my father-in-law considered leaving our house out of courtesy, but we had no issues with him, so we invited him to stay with us. With my mother-in-law now out of the picture, she had no job and no support, while we had the spacious duplex and a loving family. The marriage between my husband and the acquaintance's daughter was also called off. Not only had she been untrustworthy, but she had also tried to set up my husband with another woman while he was still married. As a result, she quickly lost the trust of everyone around her. I don't know where she is now, but I'm sure her life is far from easy. As for us, we are living peacefully as a family, my husband, father-in-law, and I cherish our daughter, and every day is filled with love and joy. I'm confident that we'll continue to support one another and stay happy together.